Welcome to Season 2 of Bulwarks and Bulldust. We're really delighted to be back on air with you again. I suspect that's Hinnick Bodendieck's work, which means we must be at Pantaenius. Let's go and find Michaela Claes. I'll go in now.
Yes,
Mickey!
I think you found me.
I think we need to go and grab you and get you in the captain's chair.
I think so too.
Okay, awesome. Season 2 of Bulwarks and Bulldust by Pantaenius. We're so delighted that they're supporting this whole entire series. In the captain's chair by Melfi Design is none other than Michaela Claes, an absolute icon of the entire industry in Australia. More importantly, I want to talk with you about boating as your third language. German wasn't enough, English wasn't enough, knew nothing about boats. Now you own one. You have your boat licence. Oh my God.
What's the boat?
I have a boat license, indeed.
Well, not the boat licence. What's the boat?
I don't know anything about boats.
Yes, you do. Well, you know a lot more about them now.
Cool. What do you want to
About
know?
13 years ago, wasn't it, Michaela, that you stepped into Pantaenius with a strong German history, of course, something like 50 odd years at least with the Baum family and 120 odd.
Yeah, 2012.
Yeah, 2012.
I joined the Pantaenius force in Australia when the doors opened at Pantaenius Australia. Pantaenius history, 126 years, the name of Pantaenius. It's a Greek name, doesn't mean anything, and it was a small brokerage firm in Hamburg. Our founder, Harald Baum, took over this little firm in the 60s, and he started a pleasure craft insurance product. And it was waterborne, really, because he had a very bad experience with the insurance of his private yacht. So he's a sailor through and through, the whole family is. And he had this little yacht insured for 5,000 Deutschmarks, and it was stored, because all boats in Europe go into winter storage, so he had it insured for 5,000 and stored in a barn. The barn burned down, and the insurance company offered him 3,500. And he said, that's a bit unfair because the premium calculation is based on the value of the insurable object. So why don't I get 5,000 when I lose my boat? I said, oh, no, it's not that worth this much anymore. But I said, that's what I paid for. So he had to take the 3,500 and he walked out of this little deal he was very unhappy about and started this pleasure craft insurance product with an agreed fixed value. And he was a pioneer of this. And it's still up to date at Pantaenius for all vessels, 30 years and younger, with a few little exceptions. We offer only the agreed fixed value. You lose your vessel, we pay out what we have agreed on with no deductions.
And of course, things have changed so very much in the underwriting space, and that, of course, has massive ramifications for how you process the claims. But rather than just accept people, Pantaenius is very famous for offering insurance to those that deserve it, because famously, insurance is not a right, it is a privilege, and when you insure with Pantaenius, you're guaranteed that kind of service that they've been known for and respected for now for so long.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like customer service is our first priority. A very smooth claims handling is also important to us because that's what people have in insurance in the first place. You know, they want to have their peace of mind. Sometimes it's not as easy as we wish it would be because there's some implications or there's things hidden in a boat. You know, there's lots of things can go wrong. Our quality control is really top notch when we start insuring vessels. We would like to see, funny, there's a boat just coming out of the water. As I said, we would like to see an out-of-water survey every 5 years for vessels 7 years and older, you know, because you never know what can be found. When we see those survey reports, we actually look at them And sometimes we tell the customer, I'm sorry, but there's too many things that need to be rectified with your vessel and we can't offer insurance. Because we need to make sure our job is actually to maintain stable premiums. We do not want to increase our premiums. We do not want to have horrendous claims ratios, because if we do have those, we won't be able to get an insurance cover for our customers. Because the underwriters in this world, they're not super keen to insure vessels. They have lots of fires. They capsize, they sink. There's lots of things that can go wrong. And to have a really solid book and have a solid proof of quality control makes us as an insurer very strong. Yeah. And we have good relationship with the underwriters.
You would think that would try to keep a lot of the cowboys, I guess, at bay, and whether they'd be businesses or individuals. But so that's your quality control program. I would assume it's not particularly onerous. I mean, you need to have some kind of barrier, but it's about keeping the quality craft.
Keep a nice level.
Yeah, making sure craft.
We have customers actually complaining to AFCA, which is the Australian Financial Complaints Authority, because we can't offer cover to them. Yeah, they say we want to be insured with Pantaenius, and we then have to go and say, this vessel doesn't meet our standards. It's very simple.
Lift the quality and you'll get the insurance.
You would go out and say, look, we want to insure everybody. Let's increase the book, no matter what. But it's for longevity. It doesn't help anyone.
Yeah. So can we unpack that a little bit more? How that sort of process looks for people that are listening? What that quality control checklist kind of looks like a little bit more?
Look, we just don't want to have it. First of all, not a checklist. We would like to have an out-of-water survey report. Or sometimes people come to us, they have just purchased a boat, or they're thinking purchase a boat, they have a pre-purchase survey report, and that's enough for us, And the surveyors in Australia or anywhere in this world, they know what to do. They know how to write a report. We do not tell them what we want them to write or what they want to inspect. Do your job, put an out-of-water survey report or pre-purchase report, and that's it. We do also not ask our customers if they're with us for a while or they just say, we want to sign up with you. We say, okay, when is your boat next time lifted for an anti-fouling? Just combine it. Don't lift the vessel now and spend another $500 to $1,000 just for lifting to get a survey report done. Do it at the same time.
That's working with owners and a lot of dialogue, a lot of conversations.
Yeah, we don't want to make it difficult for anyone.
Yeah, sure.
We want to work hand in hand with our customers, and it's like a relationship we're setting up with them.
So I do I'm obviously fairly active in the sailboat racing side of
things. I heard that.
And as most people are probably aware, by the time this goes to air, I spent a bit of time in the water last week, and I can only commend Pantaenius on their response to that whole situation. It wasn't great, but I feel like the owner and the insurer worked together very, very well. Obviously, you're across that incident. I was very impressed. But I think with any of these insurance style claims, with providing cover, insurance information more so is key, right? Information is key. The more information the insurer has, the more information around the boat quality, the crew quality, but crew experience more so. That's all very important, right?
That's important. What you're going to do with your boat? Where are you taking her? What race are you racing? The experience of the crew, the experience of the captain. Do you have paid crew on board? Is the crew insured? All these things we need to know, and we would like to know. And sure. as more the policyholder, the vessel owner communicates with us, it better it is for us. I
guess my point was, Michaela, and sorry to cut across you, but I think the onus of that is more on the owner. I think that the more information the owner can provide is important. Having the insurer constantly having to come back and ask questions, you should have your information available for the insurer, right?
Absolutely, but by the time we actually activate your policy, we have all the information we need. Now, if there are any questions open, then we have failed as an insurer. Yeah, if you say, of course, if you say my boat is here at the Gold Coast, and I go sometimes out to the next island there, whatever is it, Broadwater, thank you, for Sunday afternoon, that's fine. But if this vessel is then participating in a race to Noumea, the owner hasn't told us, he's not set up for this kind of activity, then we would probably raise an eyebrow and said, hey, you should have told us what you do, because actually you signed that your vessel is only around the Gold Coast and it's in front of your house, parked in front of your house. Okay, but as I said, by the time we activate a policy, we know exactly what your plans are, and we have assessed the vessel and everything is fine.
And obviously, big shout out to Pantaenius for supporting the upcoming Sydney to Auckland race. I think you are a supporter of that.
I'm not quite sure if you do Sydney to Auckland.
I do know that you're one of the only insurers that will provide cover for it.
We do, yeah, absolutely. It's very, very hard for Australian owners to find proper cover as soon as they take their vessel out of the Australian waters. Mistakenly, some people think we only provide cover for going overseas or offshore. We are actually providing cover in Australia, in New Zealand, all around the world, really.
So the global network
is important. So we do insure definitely the Australian and New Zealand citizen with their vessels anywhere in the world. And we have a lot of owners with their vessels in the Med. We have heaps of vessels in the Pacific right now, but not just only Kiwis and Australians, also a lot of vessel owners from our Spanish, British, German office, from the Greek office, the Austrian office, Monaco office. There are lots of these vessels are in the Pacific. They just came through the Panama Canal. They maybe joined the Ark Rally through the Panama, into French Polynesia, lots of them in Tahiti right now, and then they slide over to Fiji, where we this year the very first time support the Fiji Regatta, Muscat Cove Regatta, because it's a really nice time to catch up with our overseas and our own customers. Just great, like you hear the stories, and it's beautiful, wonderful stories. Their sailing experiences, the people they met, it's just fantastic. What was the question?
I'm assuming you'll be going over there for that. Yes. You wouldn't want to miss out on that trip.
You want to hear now how beautiful it is to lie in the sun in Fiji and pretend you're on a work trip?
Well, I think it actually raises.
It's not the case.
Michaela,
it's actually a lot of walking.
It's a lot of hard work. Lifting martinis.
But it's nice. It's actually really nice. I love connecting with our customers. We had the most wonderful stories.
Well, it's like most businesses, it's a people business, isn't it? It's all about people. It's all about relationships and those connections. So you must do it. You must go. You're compelled to do it.
Yeah. Look.
I might be calling Bulldust on that comment, I think, Wally. I might just cut in on that one.
Look, I'll tell you a nice story last year. I went to Fiji last year. This is a nice story, actually. We went, and then we heard that this Naui Marina, Naui on Savu Savu, and so we flew over there for a day to just have a look at the marina, because I'm also part of the Amex and Superyacht Australia group, and then we said, okay, this marina is a member, let's fly there and have a look. And I knew we had a couple of our international customers there. I said, let's meet them there. And we had a little afternoon tea and spoke to the Dutch customer and the German customers and others about risk in the Pacific and claims handling and what's covered and what's not. So there's a tiny little boat which gets you to the island, to the Naui Marina, and there I saw an aluminium hull vessel. Aluminium hull, I learned my lessons. I would have not idea 10 years ago what that is. Anyhow, German flag on it. I said, can we just go over there? There's a guy with a German flag. He just actually picked up one of those moorings. And I looked at my phone, because I have the whole database, and click on the phone who that is. And I said, hey, Armin. And he looked around, he was standing there in his undies, and he said, it's your insurer. And he said, what? He just only came in the morning from American Samoa. He had 5 days straight sailing. Their generators broke down. No, not the generator, something else broke down. So they had no hot coffee for 5 days. I said, we run an afternoon tea. You want to come over to the marina this afternoon? He said, yeah, I'm coming. So he came.
Hopefully with pants on by that stage.
By that time, yeah, he looked quite presentable. And he had actually an inverter, that's right. His inverter had broken down. So he just, while we were sitting then together at this meeting, he got a call from his son, and the son said that the inverter he ordered from Germany will now be delayed by 6 weeks. And we said, what inverter do you have? So Jamie just had a quick look, inverter. We called the electrician in Sydney who we work with. He said, I have exactly that inverter, just reconditioned. It's only a few years old, but it's top notch. I sent it over to Fiji, so we sent it over to Fiji, and 10 days later he had this brand new sort of reconditioned inverter for a quarter of the price, and he couldn't believe his luck. And that's what we are doing. We go the extra mile. This is just one of the little stories we do, and we help, and it's a network. It's a family.
Yes, that's fabulous. And I was going to ask you about Amex as well, because you're on the board, I believe.
Yes,
of Amex.
I'm actually the treasurer.
So for those listening,
German bean counter.
That's an acronym for
Australian International Marine Export Group.
Export Group, yes. So through your connections, you're able to get a new inverter for that gentleman, and at a ripper price.
I know. And there were other people, they were just so grateful to ask the insurer questions they never were able to ask them, because they come across incidents, they hear about claim scenarios from other yachties, and they're questioning us. I said, would you cover this in this instance? Would you not? What's covered, what's not? Are we allowed to take our vessel in this area? How now I'm in the Pacific for 5 years and I can't lift my 60-foot vessel. Where can I lift it? So when do you need just the next survey report? Will I be covered if I haven't provided survey? Because they have thousands of questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about Amex and their charter, and some of the things that you're doing and some of the challenges. Obviously, we're all a little interested in manufacturing.
It's an association, right? It's Marine Export Group. So we have companies like Aqualuma, the Gold Coast, they are members.
Hi, Carl. How are you going?
Carl, that's right.
Carl Amor.
Carl is a good friend.
Thank you for the bacon and egg sandwiches and the coffee.
Yes, so it is actually an association. It's 26 years old. Founded by Richard Chapman of Coastmaster. He was a founding member. Alan Stieber, Stieber Craft, and so many others, like really, really intelligent people, very, very successful, hardworking. So they went to international shows, trade shows, like Dubai Trade Show, Metz Trade. They go to Cannes. They've been to American shows, and just like to promote the Australian brand, Australian manufacturing, and then they took under their wings new companies, junior members, and then at some point they said, okay, let's create this association, let's maybe get an export grant as well, so we can help startup companies to get on their feet and become exporters. Yeah, Rivera is a member, Bulwarks is a member. Rivera has been one of their exporters of the year, and it's there's all the Maritimo. All those companies are in there.
So you have a good relationship with government, federal government?
Yes, the CEO has good. David Good, he's the CEO for many, many years. Before that, it was Marianne Edwards. Very good relationship with the governments. They're also lobbied for many, many years that non-Australian flagged vessel can come into Australia for charters, and that was one of the big thing Amex and Super Yacht Australia have managed to get through. It was a big thing.
Makes it a lot easier for foreign flag vessels to put the expenditure in to come here in the first place with at least some recompense for their efforts to get here, and of course brings a lot of jobs and sale of commodities,
lots of money.
Forth.
The impact studies Amex has paid for, and this it's an eye opener for governments, and for the industry how much money those big boats really spend here.
You have to tell government how good it is rather than government go and find out how good it is themselves. So we'll call Bulldust on government there, but anyway, I will. And what better could they do in the future? I mean, Albanese said prior to the last election, he was, we're going to be a great manufacturing nation and great at export. I'm sure he's been busy on that since he was re-elected. I think one of our previous guests might have called Bulldust on that and said he's 30 years too late.
Yeah.
But what more can be done? I mean, now's, I guess, an opportunity for you to maybe comment on that.
To make sure, it's a big industry, the marine industry, and they do bugger all to get young people into it. Yeah. So apprenticeship support, getting. We need employees.
So people is the weak point.
People
at the moment.
Is a weak point, absolutely. In many industries, it's a weak point, but it's a weak point. This area here is a fantastic precinct, but you come to Sydney, there's nothing like this. Yeah.
No, this
is amazing. Hence, we have an office here, and then look at this busy, and the trade is out here, and they're making money, and it's flourishing. But we do not have this in New South Wales, really.
I guess the other really important thing, we've touched on a lot of extracurricular activities that Pantaenius is involved in, and it can be as simple as driving the rib around Pittwater during COVID and looking at people and talking with them and engaging from the appropriately social distancing paths and all the rest of it, and not handing over things and all of the other rules that were in place in that time. However, on this particular program, we've had a long-ranging discussion about boat shows and the relative merits and so forth there of them. We know for a fact how much you put into the boat shows, but the model might not be broken, but is certainly looking for some modifications and changes to take place. We'd love to learn some of the things that, as an exhibitor in a lot of locales, you would like to see happen to the boat show model as we know it.
That's a good question. We have exhibited a lot. We have been constantly, non-stop exhibited at the Sydney Boat Show, and even more involvement here at the Sanctuary Cove International Boat Show. We're supporting the conference. We always had for probably 9 years as a stand down at the marina. Then we moved to 2 stands in the last six years. We have probably 8 to 12 staff around, and we attend all the events because we insure everything from 50,000 to 15 million in Australia, and everything over 15 million we bind overseas. So for us, it's like we appeal to a lot of customers. Yeah, so for us, it's really easy. So we have one stand, which is a bit more, maybe a little more bigger boats. Then the other stand is a bit more like plate boats, family, little cruisers, ribs, whatnot. So it's, for us, every boat show has worked. And every boat show, we put more effort in to make it better for us and to add value for the organizers. That's always a thing. If you do something, we want to do it better the next year. And otherwise it won't work. Otherwise you stand still. So every year we try to top it. Sydney has now, as you all know, they have changed the recipe, which I think I'm a big supporter of it, because I think what they had, it didn't work. Also, we supported it. It just didn't work. And I do think that the government let the BIA down big times, because they charged way too much money for the usage of the ICC. And then I think they could have done much, much better to support such a long-standing show. Where they say, well, we charge you less, and you make it easier for the exhibitors to support the industry and give something back. But anyhow, so they made it cool now, and it's a bold move, bold move to go there. And we have booked a stand. We're going to be there. Our advertising will be, or our graphics will be more appealing to plate boats, fishing boats, for the smaller, because I think there will be, it's a market at the Homeboat show will be more smaller boats. Some people call it a trailer boat show. It's maybe a little bit unfair. I think it's an indoor boat show. And coming from Germany, the boat show in Düsseldorf, boat means boat, not boot, is the biggest indoor show in the world, and it works, And if it works in Sydney in August at the Homebush with BIA, the first year, I think maybe some people are considering bringing bigger boats in there. Why not make it an indoor boat show? And then they're doing outdoor boat show. I think it's an in-water boat show in November. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do then, but we're definitely going to support the BIA, because BIA is local. They support the local market. The money they make is staying in the country. So,
are there Claire Back, for instance, from Melfi is coming on the show.
I spoke to her recently. Yep.
Of course. And we're very much looking forward to that. Are there some? We've sort of set ourselves up to be a facilitator of discussions, with pros and cons. Are there some specific things that you might like to raise as discussion items that viewers of the show can even comment on, whether they're industry members or whether they're consumers? Things that you might go, look, we'd love to see more access or better access up the waterways to Sanctuary Cove, for instance. So there's some key specific messages that you'd like to send across?
Look, the show is brilliant. The show is nice. They were always good they're lucky with the weather. Last year, brought in, or I just encouraged Petros, who's Michaela, he's the managing director of the boat show in Düsseldorf. He came over. He was a guest speaker at ESMIX, at the Super Conference. Yes. He also then was a guest at the boat show, and he said this is one of the most wonderful in-water boat shows in the world because it has this sort of family style. However, it is this international flair, I do believe. Amex brought this flair also to the show because it was Marianne Edwards and now David Good. They go to all the international shows. They go to Flips, they go to Bibs, they go to Monaco Yacht Show, to Cannes, Dubai, Workboat, you name it. And at every all these shows, if people say we would like to exhibit in Australia, maybe in Sydney, they always said, oh, the good show is Sanctuary Cove. So they come to the show. They come to the show as a visitor or a guest speaker at the conference, then they walk the show, and they're becoming sort of an ambassador for the Australian marine industry. And that's what also helped Malfa growing, because, it was our 14th year of the show, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's growing for a reason, because there's consistency, it's great location, it's always at the same time, and the consistency is a key. Unfortunately, we had a Super conference this year at a different location because I think one of Malfa's little subsidiaries, they didn't see the point to support an event that has been there for many, many years. But that was not in her hand. I spoke to Claire Beck about it, and it was not in her hand, which was a bit sad because moving a conference after so many years to a different location, again, bold move.
Yes.
I guess we're looking for more engagement for exhibitors or anyone that's involved in the show, more engagement with Malfa just to get that feedback across and just to keep refining the offering. I was there with some of the media contingent and a little bit as a visitor. I had a lovely, I was only there for the day, it was terrific. My colleagues here were a bit more busier than I was, but Lee's got very mixed feelings on boat shows. We've managed to tone him down a little bit over a little bit of time. But I do firmly believe they bring the industry together, but they need to be, they're part of the marketing arsenal of a company, and they need to be done properly and worked on properly. You don't just turn up on the day. So,
if you go to a boat show and you spend that much money, and you take your team over there and your accommodation, and it's really hard to stay there because you need to get out of Sanctuary Cove to get accommodation, but if you don't have your turnaround and the return on investment is not there for you, and if branding is not your thing, you just need to make money, then it's hard at the boat shows. It's really, really hard, and then the organizers, they need to make sure they get quality people in. Yeah, and if they can't provide this, then, maybe some exhibitors say, this is not my market, we can't afford coming here. For Pantaenius, for us, branding is always for us the most important things at the boat shows. We just want to show our customers, we're here, if you're insured with us, walk past, have a chat. We just, there's no pressure. New people walk past and they say, oh, walking past, you stand for 4 years and stopping now. I thought it took you a long time. And they have a chat about what we can do for them. I just had to chat to James, who works in the office here, and he said one guy came in this morning. He had a chat with us at the boat show about insuring one of his vessels, and he liked what he heard, and now he wants to insure all of his 5 boats with us because no one pushed him at the show. No pressure. It does a nice chat, and the service level we've provided at the show and this morning in the office is all he needed to know to feel convinced that Pantaenius is the right insurer for him and his vessels. So.
Job done. How wonderful. And that's your culture, and that's the way it's true, and that's the way you operate, and it comes through in all your communications, comes through in your people, comes through in the lovely posters and artworks that you create as well, which is sort of, they're friendly. They have that old world travel vibe about them. John and I have spoken about them a couple of times, and they have that beautiful sort of 30s and 40s sort of feel of travel and sort of a little bit of a bygone era, but it's comforting, I guess, in those communications as well.
It is.
Yes,
It is.
You just feel like you want a bowl of pasta and some pastis or something whenever you see Hinnick's work.
Oh, it's so nice to work with this artist. You know, it's a delightful working with him. He's just amazing. You know, just like when I had this idea last year, and I grabbed him at the boat show in Düsseldorf in 24 in January, and I said, I need an image from you. We need to have an around the world with Pantaenius campaign, because the majority of our customers, they do not know that Pantaenius is a global business, you know, that we are around for so long, and no matter where you are in the world, and Lee, you just experienced this, you know, that no matter how far away you're from your shore, we have people, we have connections, you know, we have 35,000 like shipyards, trades around the world that work and have worked with Pantaenius, and we have access to help wherever you are in the world. We find help. Yeah, to get things going, you know, salvage, rescue, you know, and you have a dismasting somewhere in the Pacific. We get a mast to you. It takes a while, but we get a mast to you. Yeah?
It's all about the culture. And
however, he was then there's it around the world. So he created then this. You probably all have seen it now. Yes, this world was a super. There was so much fun to create this with him, and no one knew in the head office that we do this, and then we actually exposed it and showed it to everyone and said, "Oh my God, this is just brilliant."
It's very brave and it's very different, and it's working. So it's wonderful. I had a little bit of a question just quickly around Women Who Sail as well, Women Who Sail Australia. So that was a program that you were involved in a little while ago.
Right at the beginning.
But there again, you know, it's just part of the journey in, I guess, demystifying. We're all about getting people into the sport and getting into boating, getting into sailing, whatever it is, just getting out and having fun. And certainly in a lot of the other work that we do in our writings, we try to, you know, demystify and take a lot of the jargon out, a lot of the, I guess we call it the sausage fest, John? Can we say that on air?
I think you just did.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm not sure that we need to ask the question, because I believe that one's
sausage fest to a German. You know, that's 1,500, I think, different sausage styles in Germany.
Well, this is a different kind of sausage, but it's about, I mean, men have kind of ruled a lot of these domains for a long time, and love to hear that you've got your boat license and you've got a boat. And
I never drive the boat. I just have a license, just to make that clear.
That's perfect. Well, you can tell other people what to do.
Even better, you don't have to clean it then either. It's like, I didn't dirty it, you did.
You know, one of those key elements, I'm not sure you guys probably still know the Cruising Helmsman magazine, right? Yes. So there was one of these magazines lying in the office when I started with Pantaenius, and I looked through this magazine. I said, "Oh my God, all this!" And there was all this jargon, you know, this boaty jargon, that third language. And there was an article. I forgot his name. He was the editor there.
Phil Ross.
Phil Ross. He had an article in there, how to get your partner on the boat. You know what you should do. And I said, do not use one of these words. Just like break it down, unpack it for your partner. If you come with your sheets, and I said, what sheets? Oh, that's a rope, right? Sheets. You know, if you don't unpack it, no one, they all walk off and said, you know what, you go sailing, I go shopping.
I just got to stop by Adair's on the way to the boat and get the sheets.
I know, I get some sheets. What?
Did you know we were staying overnight?
Yes.
Look, I get it. I was actually.
So demystifying it, and
you have to.
Yeah.
And I also learned it's look, I'm sitting here in front of three guys, but it's a bit of a chauvinistic industry. It is a chauvinistic industry. Yeah, we have sometimes problems in the claims process. You know, that the people do not understand if we do not cover a claim because maybe the boat owner has been negligent, or maybe the boat has been on the swing mooring somewhere, and it was raining, and his bilge pumps didn't work because he hasn't been on his boat for 3 months. You know, and then you pointed out to him and said, "Oh, we might not cover this claim," and they're going off, you know, they're going off, they start becoming abusive of the staff, and because you cannot point out to some people that they might have done made a mistake, right? So that's, and then we also, you hear it on sailing boats, you know, you hear sometimes stories that you have, you know, it's a bit loud there, and it gets a bit rough, and it's, you know, a bit too much testosterone on those boats probably, and it is a bit of a chauvinistic industry, and if you know, you need to break it down and unpack it. Yeah,
and certainly a lot of the technology that's coming into boating is helping everybody that's new to boating. I'm not saying women. It's anyone.
Also, women who are on this boat. Like, I'm not a boatie. I used to be a show jumper, horse riding. Much better than boating. But all the ladies who are on the boats and if it's the Volvo Ocean Races and whatever I see, I think they work incredible hard and they're amazing sailors, right? And where they are now, they're absolutely at the place where they work really, really hard to be there. And so do the men, But it's a tough gig for the girls because it's very physical.
Well, we had Annika Thompson in Series 1. She was fabulous. We had a great chat, and all the work she's doing now, helping clean up the oceans as well. So it's just a brilliant person.
And I think also too, Pantaenius' staff reflect the very comments that you've made. There's always been a very strong female presence inside the staff. Hi, Danny. Love you, darling. What that sort of says is that Pantaenius has always walked the walk. It's not a talk the talk, it is a walk the walk. And that's something that's really, really great when you think about it, and Stacey's been fantastic and obviously Amy as well. The list goes on, and this is a really good place for women and your offices, because it's not one office, your offices are both now expanding. There are opportunities for women who might be show jumpers and they have to get into boating. You never know. So if you are looking for it, I dare say you'd be happy to receive their email or take their phone call.
Absolutely. There's a career path in the pleasure craft insurance. We are probably 3/4 of our staff are females. Yeah, but that's group wide the case. And it's a good place for women to work. Absolutely.
So Pantaenius have obviously, for want of a better term, weathered the storm quite well. I think the global marine insurance game's been pretty hard for the last 15 years off the back of the Lursen ship fire, and I don't think anyone actually knows the numbers are huge, right? But Pantaenius weathered the storm well. I mean, you've set yourself up well in that global sense to get through. And what does the future look like? Do you think that the industry is recovering?
Yeah, I think so. That was, I just actually spoke to, we had a quick bite to eat before we came over here today with our Queensland staff, and we spoke about that one, the incident. That actually was very, very close for us here in Australia to lose our capacities, because Lloyd just said, that's it, we're out. And we had basically 6 or 8 weeks time to set up an MGA here in Australia, which was unheard of, and we managed to do this. And there was so many compliance requirements, just unbelievable. But we ticked all the boxes. We've done exactly what we promised the underwriters we would do, and we are here now, 6 years later, 7 years later, and have delivered, have a very healthy book. You know, we make a little bit of money for the underwriters. Our claims ratio is just there where it should be. We have stable, solid premium rates, so we don't increase our premiums, 10% or 15%. We've not done this for many years. So we're sitting really well, we're well established, and we're going to continue doing this. So, and I think, if every insurer would do this, and if you're not greedy, then you don't have to punish your customers, which it takes such a long time to set up a customer and build up a relationship, and you don't want to punish them with a premium increase. Who likes a premium increase? Yeah. So leave it as it is. We do quality control and And yes, and then we lose, of course, vessels. We have total losses. We pay them out. We lost one with a fire. We have just writing an article about it, how important it actually is to have a full comprehensive cover, because sometimes you lose your vessel and it's not your fault. There's nothing you could have done because another vessel that has caused the loss of your own vessel, and it has a third-party liability cover in place, doesn't mean that they pay for your loss. Negligence need to be proven, and it's tricky. That's very detailed. That's very detailed now, but there's peace of mind, and I do believe we do a good job. And with the other thing is with the females, coming back to the females, what we write at the beginning is we have. Our advertising was always pro-female. You never had anyone in a Hamburg when they created a couple of campaigns for us. His first yacht campaigns, they were just like with blonde hair and bikinis on a beautiful river. And I always said, in Australia, shorts and T-shirt, please. Shorts and T-shirts, make us look like we are a bit of hands-on and we're sporty, but do not put us in a bikini. Yeah. Because a lot of the majority of our customers are families, couples. They have the boat together, they enjoy it together, they take the family out. We encourage them to go out, we encourage them to leave the Australian shores, and the females very often looking after the insurance needs. And if you have a bikini advertising there, I don't think any female would like to say, hey, I want to be insured with them because they show really nice bikinis.
It's not the visual language that talks to them, is it, to that person?
It doesn't show who we are, really.
No.
Exactly, and that's been very clear from very early on, and indeed your involvement in all the other areas, again, answers to that very particular message.
And we hands-on, and we love supporting all the events at Sailport Stevens. What a delight it is that we were able to help Paul O'Rourke and his regatta to make it bigger every year. And he sent me a message the other day, and he said, without you, we wouldn't be where we are. And this is just so nice to hear. It's really pat on our back, but it's a conservative approach we have to have. It's compliance is involved. It's you need to tick all the boxes, because at the end of the day it's a financial service, and we get regulated, and we need to make sure that we are the financial service for our customers.
Yeah, exactly. And there are a lot of government bodies, and everybody knows where you are. They'll come looking for you faster than you can think.
Absolutely. And audits, you would be surprised to hear how many audits we have to undergo every year. Financial audits, underwriter audits. Yeah, lots of tick boxes.
Indeed. Well, I think it's been a delight not only to understand much more about your own personal background, but also the company's background, but more importantly, just how focused you've always been, and the results are stemming from that, on building proper relationships with proper boaties who understand that, yes, you'll be there with them, but they've also got to be there with you. No, just sort it out, I'll leave you the mess. They must comply with certain things, again, under that whole premise of it's not a right, it is a privilege, so look after it, and Pantaenius will look after you.
Correct. Absolutely.
Well, thanks so much for being on. It's been a delight to have Michaela Claes.
So many delights today.
Yeah, and without doubt, she will be back on, because we've always got something to talk about with Michaela. Thanks again, and look forward to seeing you all for the next show.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on all the social media and YouTube channels.
Subscribe to the little button down there.
Subscribe.
Michaela Claes, so good to have you on Bulwarks and Bulldust. I couldn't be happier. Please take our cap as a memento, and we look forward to having your involvement as we move forward. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure, guys. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
If you want to be on the team or with the team, then just apply. You might get a chance.
Please go to pantaenius.com.au.